Welcome aboard another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. It's July 24th. Thanks a lot for joining us. Of course, Indiana Sports Beat Radio powered by Andy Moore Honda. Just go to Andy Moore Honda for more to your door, to get more to your door. And Endeavor Hospitality and the family of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great places like the Chop Shop, where you can go in and find the best in custom meats, house-made products, and an entire steakhouse located right next door. I was there just the other day loading up on some great stuff. Speaking of loading up, we got Dustin Schutte with us today. Very fortunate. He's going to slip in as before. We'll have him on Wednesday and Thursday as well, as we will be coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium for this year's Big Ten Football Media Days, which are sneaking up on us, which it will be the last. I'm thinking that's the last media days that there could be possibly be that anyone cares about, at least. I think the ACC might be going on right now, but pretty much everyone is done. But we'll be done after that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. My favorite part about going to Lucas Oil Stadium and doing Big Ten Media Days is easily the fact that it's the only time in my sports career, which I'm not even in sports right now, that I've been on the football field. I played football. Let me say I dressed for football, but I never really got on the field. I was always on the sidelines. So, I get on the actual playing surface. It's a great day for me. Really bumps my ego up.
Well, good for you. Nothing wrong with a little ego bump, man. Everybody deserves that now and then. What's new in the World Cup? How are the ladies doing? I have to be honest with you, I've not watched it.
I've not watched it either. Busy weekend.
I know that they beat Vietnam or the opening game.
I was busy. So I've been watching baseball, NASCAR, the Open Championship, Indiana Jones. I went to go see that in theaters. So I have not watched soccer, unfortunately.
I do want to mention Terry Morin won a gold medal with Team USA. Indiana women's basketball coach Terry Morin helped lead Team USA's U19 women's squad to a FIBA championship with a 69-66 win Sunday over Spain. Morin's second gold medal. Previously, she won with that same group as the U18 championship in Buenos Aires. So congratulations to her. Also, let's not forget, Scott Rowland inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday. We'll hear from him. What a great speech. They're just a section of it that was just awesome. But Scott Rowland is not a guy who does a lot of public speaking, and we look forward to having him on sometime soon. But it was just when he talks, what he says matters and is important, I guess you'd say, and worth listening to. So I'm going to try to get that pulled up as quickly as possible and see if we can hear from Scott what he had to say yesterday at his induction at Cooperstown. Indiana native, Jasper native, of course, lives right here at around the corner, so to speak, from me on the golf club at Eagle Point. Let me get this turned up. And there we go. Okay.
In baseball, I am a Jasper Wildcat. I am an Indiana Bull. I am a Philadelphia Philly. I am a St. Louis Cardinal. I am a Toronto Blue Jay. I am a Cincinnati Red. And today, because of all your support, I'm a National Baseball Hall of Famer. In my life, I am a friend, I am a brother, I am a son, I am a husband, and I am the greatest gift, a father. So, Nick, Rain, Finn, Todd, Sis, Dad, And Mom, thank you. I love you.
Hoosier Scott Rowland on his induction. He pulled out a hat there. I don't know if it was the All-Star or his induction hat or what it was, but he tipped it to his family. But very cool. And congratulations to Scott. Great guy. Looking forward to having him on the program. He doesn't do a lot of media, so I'm looking forward to getting him on here sometime soon. But he's also the director of player development for the Hoosier baseball team. Don't forget. He goes in as one of the best third basemen ever. Defensively. As a matter of fact, only fellow Hall of Famers Adrian Beltre and Brooks Robinson ended their careers with more career defensive runs above average. Pretty good crowd to be in.
Yep.
He was also great at the plate. Career 281 hitter, 316 home runs. He was a player, but congratulations to him. Very happy for Scott. Very, very deserving. You're awfully quiet.
Well, I mean, we've got some comments over here about how the Braves helped the Reds this weekend by taking down the Brewers a couple times over the weekend. I'm probably just young enough where I remember Scott Rowland, but I'm not as well versed in his list of accomplishments as probably a lot of people. Like, I know he's an awesome guy. There was a great story. I think was it in the Indianapolis Star? I'm going to get that publication wrong, about a friendship he developed with a child who was basically was going through, I think, pediatric cancer at the time. And it was just an incredible story. And that just kind of goes to show the kind of person that Scott Rowland is. So he's not just a Hall of Fame baseball player. He's a Hall of Fame person too. I'll see if I can find the link in the break for that story, because I would encourage just about everybody to go out and read it. It was, you might want some tissues, because it will get you might get a little moisture around the eyes.
Well, not only that, he has his E5 camp, the E5 Foundation, his kids camp in Bloomington, that he quietly does and pays for, but that is extraordinarily cool. Just bringing smiles to kids and their families who are dealing with an illness or a hardship. The E5 Foundation is a nonprofit organization founded by Scott. Brings smiles to the faces of children and their families who are dealing with an illness. May have to talk to them about combining this with Never Lose Hoop.
That would be a good idea.
Well, it's a great combination. But anyway, he has a camp. It's amazing with this. He brings in enough kids that fills 4 baseball teams: the Reds, the Cardinals, the Blue Jays, and the Phillies. Good thing he didn't play for 5. Those are the 4 teams he played for, by the way. But that camp is here at Lake Monroe. So
nice.
Yeah, but very, very cool. Very, very cool. All right, so we've got to take a break. No, not yet. We're +4 today, remember? So that makes us, doing the self-producing. It's never really fun. How's everybody doing today? Hope everyone's doing well, whether you're listening to us on radio down in Evansville on 97.7 ESPN, the RAV4, up in Hammond, Chicago on WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, over in Fort Wayne on the sports station in Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan, down in Marengo, wherever you are, or YouTube. If you are, hit the subscribe, notifications, and like buttons. Appreciate you. What were you getting ready to say there, Atlanta boy?
I was just that's right. I was just going to bring up see if anybody saw the end of the NASCAR race on Sunday because we had some fireworks at Pocono.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. I mean, we can start talking about that right now because we're about out of time. But yes, the end of the race, Denny Hamlin was battling Chase
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson, rather, and Denny was on the inside. They coming out. I don't know what turn they were coming out of. If it was 2 or whether it was 3 or 4, rather. But he really ran Larson up high up the track, and he ended up having to. Well, he scraped the wall, and he was all miffed about it. I'm like going, man, this is racing. That used to be a complete part of it. When did that disappear and it become a little wine session? He ran me up. I didn't appreciate how he raced me. Oh, quit crying. Put the bumper on him. Get back around. Do the same. It's everybody wants everything perfect. And I'm like, okay, is that the world we're really going to live in where everything is perfect?
Well, I mean, this is the debate about why NASCAR depends on what you like, right? So you do the IndyCar, you don't see that kind of stuff. NASCAR, it's been for as long as I can remember, that's been a part of NASCAR. The old saying, bumping's racing. And I don't know where to fall on that. To me, it didn't look like a big deal, but I can certainly understand also why. I mean, these guys are competitive. I don't think those two guys are friends too. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin are pretty good friends on and off the track. So I don't think – I just think it was frustration from a competitive driver. Like I don't know. He was also – I think Kyle Larson also last year, if I remember right, remember when Ross Chastain drove that car into the wall and just floored it, creating one of like the best NASCAR clips I've ever seen in my life. And I think Kyle Larson was the one who complained about that too. So you're not going to get it perfect. It's a competitive sport. I didn't see a big deal with it, but people obviously, I don't know if anybody heard the boo. Like, I mean, it was showering boos at Pocono when Denny Hamlin crossed the finish line in first under a caution flag. So that was,
and he's a popular driver there. He's won 7 times now. Was a popular driver there, but you know what? Again, I'm fine with it. I am completely fine with it. My goodness gracious. And what the thing that cracks me up is, if you notice, Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't say a whole lot.
No.
Because what is he going to say? You think his dad wouldn't have done that? Oh, my God.
He earned the nickname the Intimidator for a reason.
He would have bounced him off the wall, not run him up into it. He would have bounced him off of it. Now that's a little different. But, yeah, I had no problem with it. None whatsoever. We've got to take a break. Looking forward to Dustin Dopirak joining us. You got Dustin Schutte with us now as well. Plenty more to get to. We'll talk about some baseball. I see a lot of baseball fans on here this morning. The Truth is with us already. Andrew Chipper Jones. Just kidding. He's a Reds fan, not a Braves fan. But yeah, we've got lots more to talk about. We'll talk more about Scott Rowland going in. The Truth is unhappy about football coming. You're probably not alone. We're back with more, including Dustin Dopirak later on, right after this. Oh, my goodness. See, this is where you would be coming in, dog.
Well, we tried.
No, you're gonna try this again.
Well, I think I'd have to buy a new computer. I'm not buying.
No, I don't. No, just it has to do with this Roadcaster. Have you looked at the Roadcaster yet?
No.
Okay, start studying up on the Roadcaster. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, do, 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 do.
My dog is chasing his tail. Oh, that's the end of that.
What? You're chasing your own tail?
Yep. My dog was chasing his tail. There he goes again. He has toys. I don't understand.
It's got toys. I don't understand. What's new? What's going on in your world? It sure is lonesome in mine. You're loud.
Me? Da-da-da.
All right, we're like 25 seconds away, something like that.
All right. I got my coffee.
What's going on in your world? Welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio here on this Monday. It's July 24th. Appreciate you being along with us. Dustin Schutte here. Jim Coyle with you as always. The Reds have now won 5 straight. Braves helping the Reds out. I noticed a couple people mention taking on Milwaukee. And let's see. So the Reds sweep. Who has the best team or who has the best player in baseball? The Reds or the Diamondbacks?
The Diamondbacks.
Or the Angels.
The Angels. You also forgot the Braves.
No, I didn't.
Shohei Ohtani.
He doesn't play for the Braves.
No, but Ronald Acuna does, and he's having a hell of a season. I mean, he's going to go – I can't remember what he's on pace for, 40, 70 maybe? 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. And then let me say this, though. I do think Ellie De La Cruz is probably the most exciting player. I don't know if he's the best. He's probably not the best. He is the most exciting. He's young. He's pretty fearless, which is uncommon in baseball.
Acuna, Ohtani, De La Cruz.
There you go.
When's the last time you can remember in Major League Baseball, though, you had 3 different storylines like this? I mean, because they're not these 3. None of these 3 guys are the same. They're not alike in any way.
That's a good question.
And they are just grabbing people's attention, which is great for baseball because nothing ever has grabbed the attention of in baseball really since the juiced up home run wars.
Right. Well, and especially I think what makes
that in Houston cheating.
I think what makes it unique, that's a good point, is that Ohtani, because he kind of brings a little bit of attractiveness back to the pitching mound. Like everybody that tunes into baseball wants to see home runs. They want to see base to base. They want to see stolen bases. They want to see guys crossing home plate, higher scores. That's kind of the world we live in. That's the NBA's changed. The NFL's changed. MLB has changed. But because he can do both, because he's an extraordinarily good pitcher and he's really good at the plate, he's brought a little bit of that attractiveness back to the pitching position. Because when was the last time we talked about just a pitcher? Like, they don't have – and there's a lot of good pitchers, obviously, in the MLB, but we don't – until the postseason arrives, nobody cares about pitching.
Pitch count.
Pitch clock.
Pitch clock. Not count. Clock. Yeah, that's even better. So
I mean, that might go down as one of the for me, one of the biggest, like, I was wrong moments, because I thought that was going to be a disaster, and it has worked beautifully. I love it. At all levels, too, by the way.
How about the Cardinals? Not working for them.
Well, they're just bad.
How can they be that bad?
I don't know. I don't know if they're dealing. Look, so it's tough enough to. I follow the Braves. I do a little bit the Reds, doing this show. Keep my eye on the Cubs a little bit. It's tough to keep an eye. So I don't know if they've been dealing with injuries. If these guys just didn't pan out.
Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. You don't know that. That was a reference, but
no, over my head. The Cardinals and the Mets have to be two of the most disappointing teams in baseball, if not the most disappointing teams.
Hello, New York Yankees, last place.
Yeah, but yes.
Although they're last place in the toughest division in baseball,
they're still 53-47. They've been without Aaron Judge, and they're only 8.5 back. They're not completely out of the race.
In the toughest division in all of baseball.
Right.
That's the toughest division in professional sports.
Probably, yeah, that's probably
fair.
Fair.
There's not another division, because if it's still the same, if I can get it pulled up quickly enough to say that, if you look at the standings in the division and then look at the run differential, whether you're on the positive side or the negative side of runs scored against runs against for the season as a whole, that division is the only division where every team is on the positive side. Every team has scored more runs than they've given up. Every one of them. The National League Central, on the other hand, has one team on the positive, and they're not even in second place. They're not even in second place. They're in third place. So please explain that to me.
Yeah, that was one of the big. That was. I don't
understand. I'm not a mathematics genius, but I do basic math pretty well. And somebody please explain to me how the third place team, who is the only team with a positive run differential, trails two teams in front of them that are negative.
That was the greatest statistic I had heard. I didn't know that going into this series, but they brought it up that the Brewers, I don't know if it was by Saturday or Sunday, the Brewers are -4 in run differential. And
they're the only team leading a division that is negative.
And to the point, too, about the Yankees, so we can talk about them being disappointing, quote unquote, but there's 8.5 back, toughest division in baseball, and they're only 2 out of the wild card. So I feel like they're still in a really good spot, even though you can label it as disappointing. At least they're in the race. Like the Mets and the Cardinals have no chance. Well, it's the Central, so maybe the Cardinals do have somewhat of a chance if they got hot. But
I didn't think this. No, this was somebody else. I saw this happen twice yesterday. Great. I forget who it was. Oh, it was someone for the Oakland A's. Hit his first Major League Baseball home run. There is nothing greater than a baseball dugout. There are so many antics to go on in the dugout. You can't get that on an NFL sideline. You get it a little bit in the NBA, but not much, because there's only a couple guys that are not really probably going to play in the game. So where in baseball, you never know. You got a lot of guys who may not get in, or regardless, you sit around, you got a lot of time on your hands. But Anthony Rizzo as well, I think this happened for the Yankees. But anyways, this guy for the A's hits his first career home run. And when he gets to the dugout, you know how usually everybody's high-fiving. Gave him the silent treatment. Nobody acknowledged him as he walked through the dugout. They just sat there. And about halfway down, he kind of noticed, and he starts just high-fiving the air, on each side. He's just putting up high fives and pretending. And then they all come in and congratulate him. I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious. I thought it was funny. I thought it, and the fact that these are adults doing this, that shows you they're still having fun playing the game. And you have to have fun. And that's on a team that sucks ass. That's the worst team in all of sports, the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
good to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love when like we've seen all the home run props this year, celebrations, all that good stuff. That's what makes it fun. That's what's going to help get fans back engaged. The shorter games is obviously helping. Well, the shorter time commitment, I should say, that helps. The fact that you've got some exciting players in baseball. When Aaron Judge comes back, we just mentioned the three in Ohtani, Acuna, and Ellie De La Cruz. So there's a lot of reasons to be baseball's making a comeback. Now, I don't know that it's ever going to be back. It's never going to be back on par with the NFL. I don't know what it looks like compared to the NBA, but it's been a lot of fun to watch baseball recently. And I can remember, 2018-19, it just was like a sport you'd throw on your TV and take a nap, right? Fall asleep in the third inning, wake up in the eighth, and you'd see just about everything you needed to see. But this is making a resurgence. And as much as we all hate and like to rip on Rob Manfred, he's done some pretty good things for the game.
He hasn't killed it.
Well, I mean, I guess he's still keeping it alive and thriving, so that's a good thing.
Fred pointing out the Pirates have gone from first to last in the Central Division. Yep. So there's that. Andrew says the Reds got off to a weak start, bad run differential, much better of they were getting killed early, not doing much. But Milwaukee, I mean, were they not? I don't remember them being that bad. But oh well, it is what it is, right? We're getting closer and closer to football season. Big Ten Media Days this week, Wednesday and Thursday. Dustin and myself will be there for you, coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium as that gets underway, man. How long has it been since you've been to a Media Days?
Just 2 years. So I was there this is 2023. I got to go back and remember my years. I was there in 2021, and I think we did a segment or two together when we were there. But, I was there 2 years ago. I missed last year. Probably could have went, but was in Florida. Didn't want to make the travel arrangements. But I'll be there this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working on so, again, I've mentioned this on this show, and I mentioned it a lot, that I feel like in the 15 minutes that these coaches get on the podium on Big Ten Network, you just don't get a lot. You get the same old kind of stuff where it's, we got a really good team. We're excited about what we can do. We got a long way to go. Talk about quarterbacks or certain players. Everybody's got to fight for a spot. You get kind of that same old coach speak with every single coach. There might be one here or there who goes a little bit more in depth or gives you an unorthodox answer. So I'm working on I don't want to call it a series of questions, but a lot of different questions that have absolutely nothing to do with football that I can ask. And maybe they will continue to give me the microphone. Maybe they will be like, after they hear my very first question, they will be like, never give that guy a microphone again. I don't know, but I'm going to try to have some fun with it. Sports are supposed to be fun. I don't need to know who the starting quarterback's going to be. I don't need to know what you're seeing in spring camp. Let's talk about some fun stuff. So hopefully they let me have the microphone a few times during those 15-minute segments so I can ask some decent questions.
What, pray tell, will you be asking? What's your favorite ice cream?
You got, maybe that could be a question. I've got some gems up in here, Jim. Gems from Jim.
I got it. Jim's gems. Jim's gems. I like it. So yeah, that's coming up soon. So sorry, Robert, the truth. It's here, baby. It's here. It's coming. What's football season going to be like this year? There's just no talk.
You were saying there's no talk.
There's not been much talk about it. Not around Indiana for obvious reasons. But all right, so who's going to win the Big Ten? Who's going to win the last iteration of the Big Ten without UCLA and USC in it, and with divisions?
So I feel here's the problem, I think, in the Big Ten. And I mean, we're going to have this conversation. You have this conversation in the SEC too. But isn't it going to be the same three teams that we always talk about? Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State?
Oh, you're talking about from the East. Yeah, but they can only play on one side.
No, I know. Divisions. But the West has never won the Big Ten. Has never won the Big Ten championship. I don't know that that's going to change this year. Who would you put?
Didn't Wisconsin win it early on?
Yeah, but that was when they were leaders and legends. Since they've made the split to East and West, the West has never won the Big Ten championship. So that's what, 8 or 9-0 the Big Ten East is in those games. And I don't know who, like Wisconsin's going through a coaching change. Nebraska, coaching change. Illinois lost some key pieces last year, lost their defensive coordinator, Ryan Walters. Purdue loses Jeff Brom, loses Aiden O'Connell, loses Charlie Jones. Northwestern, obviously that's a disaster. They were bad last year. They lost Pat Fitzgerald, deservedly so. And then obviously you don't have nearly the amount of talent. Iowa is going to be really good defensively, but they were historically bad offensively last year. I don't really think Cade McNamara is going to be the answer. I think they'll be good, but I don't think they're going to be in the same category as Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. And then who's the team?
It would be
Minnesota. Minnesota maybe, but I don't think they're going to be winning the Big Ten. They might just get to Indianapolis. So, like, once again, the Big Ten West is going to be wide open. So when you ask the question, who's going to win the Big Ten, it's hard for me to pick against. I mean, I have to go with Michigan because they've had Ohio State's number these past 2 years. Can Ryan Day get things back on the right track? They have the talent, obviously. Penn State, I think that they're making strides. It's going to be interesting, but it's not – this is probably why you don't have a lot of as much hype as you've had in previous seasons.
I love the fact that Michigan has done what they've done to Ohio State the last couple of years, just because just because it'd gotten the way to the other too far the other way. But
yeah, that's true. Will Brian Ferentz coached offense score 25 points per game at Iowa? I have my doubts.
No. Has Iowa ever scored that many points in a game?
Look, you
may have to add up all their games last year to see how many, if they scored 25.
There was some statistics last year where Caitlin Clark in a single game scored more points in one game than Iowa did at any point. You know, Iowa's football team did at any point last season. So again, Iowa's going to have, because they always do, they're going to have an elite defense. So they're probably going to get to 8 wins. It's just, is their offense, and they've got a pretty beneficial schedule. So is their offense going to be good enough to get to Indianapolis? I think it can be, but I don't know. Like the 25 points per game thing is still a bizarre contract situation to me, but whatever. Do what you got to do. I don't know. I think you have to put Iowa in the driver's seat in terms of the West because I think that they are maybe the most experienced. They've got a new quarterback in Cade McNamara. They've got some pieces. I just don't know if I trust Brian Ferentz on the offensive side. Like, I feel like it's going to be what we've seen the last couple of years in the Big Ten championship, where whoever is representative from the West is just going to get run out of Lucas Oil Stadium that first weekend in December.
We'll find out. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Speed Radio. Thanks a lot for joining us. Dustin Schutte with me right now, or Dustin Dopirak up next. So looking forward to the two Dustins. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. Hello, sir.
Hey. Schutte, it's been too long, man.
I know. It's been a while.
It's been a bit. What's happening? How are you?
I'm in Brownsburg.
Are you really? Are you living here now, or what? What's the deal?
Yeah, cool. I moved at the beginning of this month. So, excuse me. So I'm up here. So maybe you'll see me more. I don't know. Maybe more Pacers games, Colts games.
fantastic.
Well, probably not Colts. But.
Yeah, I'm not covering them, and I'm not spending any money to go either.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
not spending the requisite cash for that. Not now, anyway.
Nope. If somebody wants to give me tickets, I will happily go.
I'll take them. Yeah, I'll gladly take them. I will. I mean, I'm trying to think. When do they play the Steelers? I think it's in November. If they were playing the Steelers at a time when I could go, I would go. But,
that makes sense.
I don't. I mean, I think it leans up to November, and that's kind of a toss-up period for me, obviously, because we're talking NBA, Pacers at that point. But
right. So if my dad and my dad's side of the family are big Packers fans, so if they hosted like that would be something because it'd be more like a family thing. I would spend money on, but in terms of just like I'll probably go to the training camp, for free just to check them out at some point. And
right. Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Now they play the Steelers on week 15, and it's a TBD when everything's like tossed up and flexed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've been to one Colts game in my entire time in Indiana, counting both stints. And I went to like this. Me and a friend of mine got really cheap tickets that year because it was the year that Peyton had his neck busted up, and they were. Yeah, it was the Dan Orlovsky period, I think.
Dan Orlovsky and Curtis Painter, right?
Yes, the Dan Orlovsky Curtis Painter year. That was magnificent. They did a great job getting that draft pick.
And didn't they? Kerry Collins came out of retirement, right, for a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did. Let me football
positive.
reference that.
I think that was I thought he was retired, and they were like, we got to have somebody who knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was 2011 Indiana. 5 games, started 3 of them. That's right. God, that year was a mess. That year was a stone cold mess. Oh my God. So like, I mean, obviously I'm Penn State grad, so like Kerry Collins is a sort of
legend. Yeah,
legend. Was for a long time the only one who ever knew how to pass there. Like up until like Michael Robinson, and then.
Wow, did Michael Robinson know how to pass? I mean, he was a great quarterback, but he wasn't like a gunslinger.
The one year he did, 2005, when they got him some real receivers, because he had been a receiver for half of it and played running back, something like that.
Was Allen Robinson on that team too?
That was after. I think that was like 08.
Who was that?
Yeah. Anyway.
My bad. I went over. All right, here we go. Ready to come back. Welcome back, everybody. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. It's July 24th. Thanks so much for being along with us. We appreciate you. Got the two Dustins, Dustin Schutte, Dustin Dopirak, alongside each other today. Thanks, guys. How are you? How's Mr. Dopirak?
I'm doing well, man. I'm happy Schutte's here. It's been way too long. It's been way too long since we've done a dual Dustin podcast. It's been a long time, and I'm excited about this.
I know. I'm fired up about it too. We already had some good Penn State Big Ten football conversations in the break. Like this is going to be fantastic.
Exactly. I'm not schooled up enough. I'm like, wait a minute, football's like a thing now. I haven't read anything at all. I'm like, I was hearing you before I came on. I'm like, how good is Iowa going to be? I have no idea. I'm used to really knowing this right now. I have no concept.
Isn't that the crazy thing? So I've been talking to people, and I have not covered the Big Ten in exactly 1 year. And it's amazing how quickly all that information escapes your brain. And I'm going to Jim and I will be at Big Ten Media Days on Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm like, I've got to skim through. I've got to go through CFB stats. I got to try to get my hands on a Phil Steele magazine. And
exactly. Yeah.
It's I feel like I can get back up to speed pretty quickly. But at the same time, it's like just 1 year with all the change, all the things that with the coaching carousel, with the transfer portal, NIL.
Yeah,
it made it a nightmare to try to keep up with.
Last week, that too, like
right,
more or less in truly awful fashion. No, I mean, it just like you said, I mean, the portal moves everything around so fast. I'm like, wait a minute, Cade McNamara did transfer to Iowa. That is
right.
Since last I thought about college football, and I mean that's the thing about college football too, and this really stood out to me when I covered Tennessee and I was just covering football, as opposed to covering football and basketball. Is you have this? I mean, it's the biggest break of all the major sports, of all the sports that team sports that drive coverage in the United States, is that you go from January to September and you have almost nothing. I mean, you have spring football and whatnot, and there's no games and whatever. Everything else kind of keeps itself in your consciousness somehow. Football obviously has its recruiting period and all that kind of stuff, but there are just so few games, like 365 days, and you might have your team you cover plays probably 13 games, and
right.
The other 352 you're just talking about it. But then you have 9 months where you have nothing to do but talk about it, and it's like, man, it's really been a long time since you've seen a college football game. You have to remind yourself of like everything that happened since, who went where, and the portal in particular just adds so much to it, because they're just like, man, there's so much movement. It's football, so there's more guys, more moving parts. You're like, who even is on their offensive line anymore? I'm going to need to take a minute to read this up. So yeah, and it hasn't even been that long for me. It was November where I was covering IU when they finally moved me over, and just like I'm like, I have no idea who Indiana's quarterback is going to be.
Right.
You play on that team, so it's going to be interesting. I don't have to go myself on this week, obviously. So Zach will be here and whatnot, and we have a new hire at the Herald Times, by the way, who I plan on meeting this week, Mr. Michael Nizalek. I think everyone butchers my name. I just butchered his, so I apologize to him in advance for being that guy. So we'll obviously have a ton of coverage coming out of there, which won't be mine. But yeah, it's again just weird to like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this now. That's right, football's a thing we still do here.
So is he covering IU for the HT?
For the HT. So yeah, I'm intrigued by how the game is going to be played now. I don't know.
I am too. That was my next question.
Yeah, that I don't know. So I was not involved. I was not. It was not part of the process here. But I'm looking forward to meeting the guy. He used to cover the Bengals most recently. So check him out if you're not following him yet. Follow him now. So Bloomington folks, that is your new beat writer. That is the next in our great lineage. I'm going to claim him because that's what we do here. But yeah. So
I like it.
I'm looking forward to meeting him, but I don't know him yet. But check him out. The HT still has a beat writer. Keep supporting the HT.
I agree. I mean, I'm all about obviously supporting local papers. I grew up reading them, and this one is one though. I'm like, all right. So does there need to be a separation between the HT and Indy and the Indy Star, since it's the same owner now? It's the same this, the same that. They're getting the same coverage. Zach is going to be on everything. For high school, I get it. It's different. And I always think you should have a different voice. I'm surprised. I have to tell you, that's very surprising to see Gannett do that. And I'm surprised in a positive way.
Yes.
Positive surprise, but I'm surprised. I've got to say, I'm very surprised.
Yeah. I'm going to speak in ways to keep myself out of trouble.
Right. And I was trying to think of that as I was bringing this up.
I got to keep myself out of trouble here. But the baseline thing that I'm going to say is just, I'm very, very happy that they filled it. I know that, I know that IU stuff does well. And that's what I'll say. And I'm sure that was obviously a driving force, is the idea that there's still enough to do. There's still enough to cover. And it's definitely good that there's an HT beat writer, and it's good. I presume he's going to be living in Bloomington. That's was my presumption, is, I was already here in Indy, having moved here for the Athletic and everything, and MJ had a job, what was she on now? I think she was at the Star at the time, when I moved over to the HT. So I had to be here. There was no way I was going to be able to move down to Bloomington, either force her to go down or move down, God forbid, move down there myself. So this guy's obviously going to be more situated there, and you would think that there's going to be a better possibility for him to spend more time covering other sports than I did the second time around. It's obviously something I did a lot the first time around, and was sort of more easily flexible to do that. So I would think he's going to be more able to, just cover a baseball game just because. Or pick up that sort of duty and do that more than I did, or be more invested in, recruiting in certain ways or whatever. I mean, ultimately, it's just really good that they're doing it. I don't know how the setup is going to be between he and Zach, as far as if it's going to be as sort of connected as he and I were, or if they're going to want to operate that differently. That I don't know. But it's good. I mean, the thing is just keeping the HT a heartbeat is really important. It's really important. And especially for us. I mean, I just know that making sure that paper continues. One is important for Bloomington. Two is important for the Star. Like just keeping that place going. Like just having people down there. I know it's certainly important to have. Laura Lane's our cops reporter, and I still say our because the HT is like part of my soul. And having her down there to say, hey, this is when you need to show up if somebody got in trouble, like obviously with X, I had to go, cover him at court and whatnot. I was like, okay, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Who are the lawyers I need to call? Just having people down there that know that is important. Having people down there that know how the administration works, like what, I didn't have to go down to any board meetings or board of trustees meetings, but in case you do, having somebody down there that knows, all right, this is who you show up. This is the PR person you talk to, somebody that can guide your sports coverage, help guide the space where sports becomes news and news becomes sports, is really important. So it's really important for us to have that outpost from a journalistic standpoint. It's really important for the HT to keep a heartbeat, as smaller as it may be. So for all of that, I'm really, really happy and excited. So looking forward to, glad they hired Michael, looking forward to meeting him.
I think it's always interesting, right? In terms of the I'm going to ask this question. I'm trying to formulate in my head. When you are covering Indiana football, like I had to cover all 14 teams. And so it wasn't really necessarily like I wasn't a reporter, right? It was just kind of following along and following the storylines and stuff. What's the difference between covering a team like Indiana and covering a team like Penn State in terms of that football coverage? Because it's like, I mean, obviously those two, you got two very different night and day type of programs. Does one give you more access? Is it easier to cover a program that's a powerhouse, or is it easier to actually cover a team that's, maybe they don't put as high of an emphasis on football? I've always that's just a dynamic as somebody who hasn't done the in-depth reporting and has had, I just call the SIDs and try to get interviews with players and coaches. So I've got a very basic understanding, but for people who are in it doing day to day, what's the difference like? What's that kind of dynamic between those two different types of programs?
Yeah, well, I mean, you see it. It's the same dynamic difference between Indiana basketball and Indiana football. It's just literally the difference between, do these people, like, I don't say these people, like, this is going to, I want to make sure this doesn't come off like a criticism of SIDs. And obviously, JD Campbell's a friend of ours, Jeff Kegg's, has been good to us over time. Jim obviously has dealt with both, but it's just like the obvious motivational difference between, we need somebody to write about this team, and we need to sort of push this and create avenues to stay in the paper, because, we're trying to increase visibility, versus we have all the visibility we could ever possibly need, and we probably have too much, and we want to not so expose these kids, drives the way that they operate. So when I got here in 2009, I mean, we got to watch practice, and I never saw a Penn State football practice. I mean, it was really? We joked about, I mean, they have started in the Franklin era, and you mix in, the obvious, the Sandusky scandal, basically, and sort of, you wouldn't say things that directly led to that, but there was definitely this, the opacity, if you will, of Penn State football was certainly cited as a reason how that worked out, that it was just so insulated. And we had, like, this is how media worked back when I covered in 2002. There were some good things about this, so I don't want to complain about it entirely, but we never went to practice. We never, I wasn't even sure where all they did practice. I mean, it was not even a thing, but we had, starting Monday, we would have these teleconference calls, and you would get a list. You would send in requests for who you wanted to talk to that week. And then it was, your mornings were one teleconference call after another. And everybody on the beat would call in, and you would, as college football, as college, reporters, as student newspaper guys, and we always had to churn out this sort of, for every home game, we had to do what they called a tabloid. Like, it was like we put out these like kind of preview tabloids you could get for free at the game, but we had to churn out like bigger features. So we would a lot of times ask for more obscure players, so we could be on there with only like one or two other people and get his life story and write something off of that. But that was usually pretty good, and they were good at setting us up. And like the quarterback or whatever, like Zach Mills at the time, would have everybody would be on for that, or everybody would be on for the stars that would be on every week. But we'd have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'd have these calls, and we'd have an in-person press conference with Paterno on Tuesday, and then we'd also have some in-person players there, and that was sort of our weekly deal. And then obviously we'd have Saturday presser and Saturday post-game presser and everything like that. And that was access, So we didn't really get to know anybody, and we never saw any practice. Tennessee, but they've expanded that. Just, I think they maybe get one in-person practice a week, somewhere on those lines. There's been a move. Certainly, they're only going to take that so far, but to have more dialogue between, coach and media and players and media and stuff like that, just so there's a little bit more transparency there when there used to be zero. And so obviously it's different, certainly with James Franklin versus Joe Paterno, who was already pretty old at the time, wasn't looking to make a whole lot of new media friends at that point. I would not ever go so far as to say that he was, like senile at that point. I don't think that was true, but it was just, he wasn't the same level of interactive, where Franklin very much is. And Franklin's sometimes looking, from what I can tell, to have media fights, like not fights so much as debates, where he wants, okay, why do you want to know about this injury when I won't tell you? Somebody explain this to me. And it does seem like they try to say, well, okay, sure, we'll explain it to you. Which
in one regard, this happened with Lovie Smith, and I don't know if we're pumping up against a break here, but this was journalism 101. So this was a few years ago. I remember one reporter asked Lovie Smith about an injury, and he said, I'm not going to dive into his injury. And then a few questions later, somebody asked about the same injury, and he eventually cracked and talked about it. And they're like, this is why you ask the question, even when they tell you not to ask it, because they, I don't want to say they slip up, but sometimes they might answer it indirectly. So as much as they get criticized, you might get the answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, coaches are hilarious creatures. They really are.
They are,
and especially when it comes to injury, it's such a big piece of it, because like they initially don't want to tell you for like partially for strategic reasons, partially because they don't know what HIPAA means. And so like sometimes they want to use that and sometimes they don't, or what it protects and what it doesn't. But then sometimes, especially when they're missing a guy, they want to explain it to you because they, like they're mad they don't get to play him. They feel like they're being unfairly judged by what they're doing without him, or they want to tell you about how great they're doing without the guy. Or explain what he's been dealing with, or why he after he comes back hasn't been successful, and they tell you this time how much worse the ankle really was or the knee really was. Like they have cross-pressured motivations when they're talking about injuries. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes they do slip. And, more, I think I'm trying to remember the specifics of the injury at the time and who it was. It was somebody really prominent that Franklin got into this with. And, they got really good reporters over there. Audrey Snyder's a good friend, from The Athletic. And it's one of those things where like, well, I have to ask, like, people want to know. It's really important. Like if from covering the team, like they want to know when the best player is going to play or when the best players are going to play or not play. So like I have to say I asked, and if you say no, then I can just say, well, I asked, and he said I'm not telling you, and I can go about the day at that point. I don't need to fight you about this. I asked, you said no, I'll live. Like that's what it is.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes they absolutely do slip. And like sometimes you get it in pieces, I remember sort of piecing together slowly, and we never really got it all the way out until he was gone. But Jerome Hunter's deal, when it was like, okay, it's a thing, like,
now
so
it's back. and now he's having something different totally. But
I think it's something totally different. But yeah, I mean, what was it? Was it? He did say it was blood clots, right?
Yeah, it was a blood clotting issue with him. But we'll talk about that and lots more. We've got
Dustin
Dopirak and Dustin Schutte with us here right now on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more right after this.
This will be my last segment.
What was that about?
He likes to mock. He likes to mock me on this show.
Fair. Oh, good, man. Good to know you're around.
Yeah.
For real.
Where are you? Are you in Indianapolis? Are you in Bloomington?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, I'm in Indianapolis. We're on the east side.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're on the opposite end, Dale.
Yeah, we're on the opposite end of Indy from you, but we're not far from it. Like I'm probably 10 minutes. I mean, I get downtown in less than 10 minutes, and it's not like I'm not driving on highways. I'm probably I could walk there if I had to.
Really? That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean it'd be a while. It would take me a bit. I can. I frequently run to the edge of downtown. Let me put it that way. Like
okay.
If I guess the closest thing I'm walking distance to is like the garage, like the Coke, the bottle district or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I know where you're at. Yeah. I'm
about little touch over maybe a mile and a half away from that.
Okay.
Off 10th Street, like I'm past a couple streets past 10th and Rural. That's
I went downtown the other day, and God, I forgot how much of a pain it is just to park.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's a pain. It's well. The thing is too, like you can find convenient. Oh shoot. Does this mean I'm the only one on?
No, you're here. We got you.
Okay. I'm not seeing your face right now, nor Jim's.
Oh, that's what. Well, Jim stepped away. I'm still here.
You seeing me?
I see you. Yeah, I have the same. Everything looks normal on mine. I don't know what happened. Producer Jim stepped out. Spinny wheel of death. Now I'm in charge of entertaining everybody on YouTube because I'm the only one here. 2 papers in Bloomington, 3 full-time sports. A lot of HT talk. Is Dustin a Pirates fan? I would assume so. I'm going to have to ask. Top 3 for the Big Ten West. That's a good question. I would.
Step away for a minute. Y'all tear it up.
Everything's broken. Yep.
Go down and get some coffee, and y'all.
He broke it. He broke it. Everything's broken.
Well, maybe he'll be with us when we come back. We're like,
do some.
We're ready. You ready?
Yep.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. It's July 24th. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you. Dustin Schutte sitting in with me. Dustin Dopirak might be back. He was with us as well. We may have lost him. He may have gone into the abyss.
He may have.
What were you guys chatting about?
Where he lives on the east side of Indianapolis. I need to try to get together. I'm trying to formulate a what's it called? A trivia team. Because there's trivia down here, 20 steps from where I live, every Wednesday. I can't do it by myself because I'm an idiot. So I need teammates who could help me help us win prizes. But if he's on the east side, it'd be like a 40-minute drive for him probably. What's my life?
You have nothing to do but play trivia now? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I live a pretty simplistic life. I do a lot of things on my own, but trivia is not something I can win on my own.
Well, most people can't win on their own.
Some people are smart enough to do it. I had my friend down here a couple weeks ago to go play, and I'm pretty sure he answered 90% of the questions that were fielded our direction. And most of them he got right. So he could have probably done all right by himself on trivia. But alas.
Alas, I digress.
I am looking forward, though. I always think of Big Ten Media Days as like the starting point for the football season. And I know we don't get like a ton. Like people sometimes ask, what are you looking to get out of Media Days? And I don't really know that I look to get anything in terms of the X's and O's or the specifics. Sometimes you get some really neat stories.
Well, here's the thing. It used to be it would give you probably enough content to get you through 6 weeks till football season started. Well, now in the age of everybody has to have it now, that's not the case because everything you get goes up almost immediately. Right. Because if not, somebody's going to beat you to it. Now, as a writer, you can still use that though, and you can derive stories out of it. You can pull individual stories out of it over the course of that time, which it still works for that in that regard. It just hurts. It hurts people like me who do what we do because it's
well, you got to get stuff. And this is what I say too. Again, this is why I say the breakout sessions for guys who are doing our kind of job, Jim, that's where things are way more beneficial because you have more intimate conversations with these coaches and players. You can get, sometimes they talk about a little bit, some stories more in depth where again, when they're at the podium, you just get the typical coach speak. But I've gotten some good stories, whether it be from, Indiana and how Tom Allen had approached recruiting when he first started. That was a story I ran a few years ago. Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver at Minnesota, the reason he decided to come back for another year, even though he might have been NFL ready at the time to get his degree. That was a really fun story. I mean, there's some really good things you can get out of Big Ten Media Day. So I'm always looking forward to it. I always like the unique type of stories. I'm not going to write a story about who's going to be the starting quarterback or who's going to be, the breakout player or anything like that. You don't really get that assessment from Media Days. I'm more interested in these unique stories, why players transfer, why they decided to stay. Is there anything, that motivates you, that kind of stuff. And so that's what I always look forward to. And I think we'll get plenty of that at Media Days. I'm also glad, let me just say this too. I love that the Big Ten, I think they do it right. I love that it's a 2-day event and not 4 days like the SEC Media Days.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Nobody needs to be there for 4 stinking days.
It's a poof. Man, I would have given up. If I was in Nashville for 4 days, I'd have been given up after day 2. I would not make it to day 3 of SEC Media Days if I was
I'd be at Tootsie's.
Honky Tonk Central. Honky Tonk Central.
I'd be down at Tootsie's.
You'd be down at Tootsie's, okay.
Tootsie's Wild Orchid Lounge. You're not familiar with that?
No, I'm familiar with plenty of downtown Nashville. Some of it's a little fuzzy.
Only the most famous bar down there, probably.
It is. A lot of people go to Kid Rock's.
See, that's new though. I don't even know what that is.
It's not that new, is it?
It's new. It's not. Tootsie's has been there since the 50s, man.
Well, okay, true. That's fair. I think if anybody goes to Nashville, here's a tip. I don't know why I'm doing this, but here's a tip. You don't need to bar hop. Just get a spot in one of the bars and listen to the live music. It's the same in every place. Every place.
There's no lie to there. I'll give you that one. Robert's Western World. Across the street there, I can't even remember the name of the place. It's all the same. It really is.
It is.
And it's all just become a commercial boon. Even Tootsie's. Tootsie's used to be a great place where you would sneak in. You could go in. You could come in the back door out of the alley next to the Ryman, into the back room. And now it is nothing but commercial. They've got it up on the roof now, and it's like, there's really not a place to go, I think, like that anymore, where you can just go and chill out. If there is, I'm not aware of it. I'll have to find it, but where you can just go. Now there's the Bluebird. That's off the path a little bit, but place where a lot of people were discovered.
If you want to relax, you're going to have to go off path because downtown is, and Jennifer brings this up, it's so damn expensive to go out on the town. $9 bottle domestic beers, yeah, that rings up pretty quickly.
Yeah, but where's that not the case? And where tell me where you can go. Give me a major city like that.
Indianapolis.
That's really downtown. The beers are not $1 or $9 a piece at a place like that. But you don't. Indianapolis doesn't have that. Indianapolis does not have downtown Nashville. Indianapolis is cool. Don't get me wrong, and it's the greatest sports place to host a sporting event. But just Nashville is Nashville, 365 days a year, baby.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what it's a tourist destination, right? Well, tourist might be a little bit of a stretch, but you know what I mean?
No, it's not. I agree. No, it is. It is.
Okay. So then
it's all kinds of a destination. People go there. People are not coming to Indianapolis for
a weekend.
Bridal showers.
Right. Correct.
I mean, not that no one does, but you're not seeing. It's not this bridal shower mecca that Nashville is, because Nashville's a mecca for you can. Yeah.
Bridal shower.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Same difference. All that same old crap. But yes. It's just different in that regard. But hey, they're not complaining.
That's true. Andrew says he was out on Mass Ave in Indianapolis and they were $9 beers. Well, how about that?
See, I'm telling you.
So I'm just dude.
I remember when Conseco Fieldhouse opened, and I believe it was Conseco then. They were $8 then. $8. Yeah.
In the stadium or in the arena, yes, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm talking 15 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, man. So, yeah, there you go down to Mass Ave, all those big bars that they have. Yeah, they're not building those places to donate to your bank account.
That's true.
And so, and that's just, you go into these types of places, and that's what it is now. It's just, you're paying for the ambiance. The environment,
the experience,
and the ambiance.
I wonder.
Make him an offer. You can't refuse. You come in, you ask this thing of me.
Nashville has a better downtown atmosphere than Indy. Well, of course it does.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
That's what it's. But that's what they've kind of built that around. I mean, that's what Nashville's built on. Downtown, and
Indy is not. Indy has integrated a downtown with the things that it's built on, which are sporting events.
Right. And that's why Indianapolis is a great place. I think Nashville would actually be a great, I mean, I know they have the Music City Bowl, but for an NCAA tournament or I don't even know if they do the SEC tournament but anyway, any place where you can go.
SEC Media Days there.
They did this year.
They have.
But any place you can go out and walk, and this is why I hate when the Big Ten tournament is in Chicago. Because it is not easy to get from the arena to downtown Chicago. I mean, you're going to miss a session if you try to do that.
That's because the arena is not in downtown, near downtown Chicago.
Right. So you've got,
and that's such a difference. And that's why I agree with you. Indianapolis, they should never, ever move the Big Ten basketball tournament out of Indianapolis. It just shouldn't happen.
I agree. I would say if you're going to incorporate Madison Square Garden, do it once every 5 years, just for like the appeal, because the Big Ten
that's not going to happen because they can't get the date at Madison Square Garden until the Big now. If the Big East ever, and the Big East is becoming the smaller and smaller East all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot. That's a venue that a lot of people would love to. The Big Ten has done it once, but they had to really screw their schedule up to do it. I think it's very cool, and I would like to see them do it again, but not screwing the schedule up.
Yeah, and you can't really do that. You would have to finagle the schedule quite a bit. So they may not do it, but I'm just saying that would be the one. That's the one place I'm okay with it being, because it's New York. You've obviously got. It's the mecca of basketball in terms of arenas. There's obviously going to be a lot of Big Ten alumni bases there. So it's a good spot to do it. You don't need it in Washington, D.C. You don't need it in Minnesota. You don't need it. Chicago, from a location standpoint, is fine because it's still in the Midwest and it's pretty centrally located. But in terms of the arena to the rest of downtown, it is such a nightmare. It's not, to me, it's not where you have to stay in that area. Otherwise you're going to miss a session or two.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Stay in your lane. So keep it in Indianapolis. I love it. You can go out from the arena, go get you a bite to eat, have a drink, come back. You don't miss any of the action. It is awesome. It's my favorite thing to do is to go to the Big Ten tournament when it's in Indianapolis. I can't wait. When is it coming back? It's not this year because this year it's in Minnesota, right?
Don't mention that again to me, please.
I didn't mean to put you in a bad mood on a Monday.
You got the slippery noodle, baby. Who has a slippery noodle right like within a block of Lucas Oil Stadium?
I love slippery noodle. And that's not like that's the restaurant, the establishment. Let's not get carried away here, YouTube and radio listeners. That's a great place. I like going to what's the little place? Is it Coach's? I like going to Coach's. It's just kind of a little hole in the wall place, not far down the road. Excellent spot. Love that spot.
Excellent spot. Love that spot.
Go there all the time.
Hate the Drake. Love the Drake. Hate the Drake.
Is that another reference that just over my head again?
Yeah, that's a Seinfeld.
Man, usually I'm pretty good with Seinfeld, but the last couple times you've made Seinfeld references, I just didn't get it.
The Drake, man. Hate the Drake. Love the Drake. Let's see. Yeah, the 2024 Big Ten basketball tournament is in Minneapolis. Yeah, that's this season. Unfortunately. Next year,
So let me ask this, Jim. Because you went there for media days, is the arena at least close to downtown stuff? Like, would you? Yes. I know it's going to be cold and the weather's not going to be great, but at least does it have sort of an Indianapolis setup where you feel comfortable leaving the arena, going getting a bite to eat or a drink or something, and then you're going to be back in time to see the rest of the tournament?
It was better than being in Albany, New York.
Okay, that tells me nothing.
For the NCAA tournament last spring.
Is Albany a nightmare? I don't.
It's not a nightmare. Just, just really, Yeah, just a real, Of all the places that they were looking at going, that was so far at the bottom of my list last year. I mean, there was Columbus, Ohio, which was close, and then you had Florida, which is Florida.
Right.
And I was good with either of those. And then you had Albany, New York, which, I mean, you even had New York City, which would have been better.
Well, right, of course.
But we got none of that.
None of it.
We got none of that and liked it. So last year I got Minneapolis and I got Minneapolis for media days. Then I started the year, the basketball season in Minneapolis and ended it in Albany, New York.
And not only
How about that? How about that? I just realized that.
So the women's tournament was in, and by the way, the women's tournament was this was a great season for Big Ten women's basketball. The women's tournament was in Minneapolis too, right?
Right.
Golly.
Now, it was very well attended, but maybe that's because you had Indiana, Caitlin Clark, and Iowa. Who else? The Big Ten was good last year.
Maryland was pretty solid.
Maryland and Ohio State.
Ohio State was Michigan. I don't remember if Michigan was any good. Purdue was up and coming.
But those four teams right there you just had a lot of storylines.
Right.
And so that helped with that. But I'm not sure where it is this year. We'll find out. But I don't even know. Those things
done in advance. This is why I have this Google machine on my phone, because I'm going to find out right now. Because I can, if it's in Indianapolis, you better believe that I'll be in attendance. Of course, this is when it doesn't work.
Well, of course it works. You just type in where the Big Ten women's basketball tournament.
That's what I'm doing, but my fingers are too big.
Women's Big Ten basketball tournament.
2024. Is it? And it's in Minneapolis again?
That does not make sense.
Minneapolis 2024, March 6th through 10th. Returns to Minneapolis for a second straight year. Oh, God.
Wow. Now why would you do that? because that's
you're
done in
Kevin Warren.
advance. Yeah, but, yeah.
This is all Kevin Warren's doing. I'm not happy about this. Let me just say that this is the one positive. Let me give you the one positive because I don't like that it's in Minneapolis again either. I'm assuming I'm reading this correctly. The women's tournament is the 6th through the 10th, the men's the 13th through the 17th. So people who cover will at least be in the same city for an extended period of time. Now, that's going to be a long – what do you mean no?
Look at my head. You think I'm going to go up there for that entire length of time?
I didn't say you were. I'm just saying other people might.
Well, I cover.
I know, but let me put it this way. You could.
Let me tell you this. Last year when the Big Ten media days were there, and I've said this before, and I'm not saying it to pat myself on the back, but last year when the men's Big Ten basketball media days were in Minnesota, do you know, and Indiana far and away has the largest media contingent. Do you know how many media for basketball? Do you know how many media members attended that event?
Points to himself.
Us. This was it. We were it. And shocking, but that was it. That was the deal. So how about them apples? Oh, I've got to, unfortunately, I know you've got to go.
Yep. But I'll see you on Wednesday, Thursday. We'll see everybody from Lucas Oil Stadium. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. It'll be so much fun. Hey, are we going to St. Elmo's?
Are you buying? So the tone changed quite a bit there as I asked that question.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking we need to plan it, Janet.
I think also. I think the Indianapolis.
Janet.
No, I lied. I think the Indianapolis Indians have a day game that day.
What do the Indians have to do with the price of tea in China?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we can do St. Elmo's.
Well, why would we not?
Okay. I can't wait to have the shrimp cocktail. I've got a bottle of that cocktail sauce in my fridge right now.
Oh, the creamy horseradish?
No, the cocktail sauce.
Oh, that's nothing compared to the creamy horseradish. That's my new favorite condiment for any and everything.
I know. I'm not good on just horseradish, but I'll give it a try sometime.
Oh, we need to call.
It's going to be packed.
I know. That's why I'm saying.
You know what we need to do? We need to figure out a way in the future to somehow get some of these football players who are in attendance who have never tried the shrimp cocktail and get authentic reaction.
Actually, that's a great idea. And I should have, I say that because I saw the St. Elmo's people and we'll have them come in and do this.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's an idea. Bingo. We're doing it.
We got to make sure there's no food allergies. Otherwise, we're going to have a lawsuit on our hands. But other than that.
Well, it's pretty simple. You can't have shellfish and you can't have horseradish. If you can have those two, you're in.
Good point.
Okay, so we're doing this contest both days, I think.
I can't wait. We got to get this figured out because it's going to be awesome if we can do
well,
this.
Well, I can't act like I thought of this myself. We've seen it before. They've done it before, but I saw them do this when I was up there doing the show for
no, I'm stealing
the NFL Combine.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
But absolutely. They were coming around the media area with it, and I did it on air.
I remember that.
I was the only person to do it on air, by the way.
We thought we lost you for a brief moment in time.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to call them and have them set up, and they'll end up doing it with other people, but we want to be their main deal. And then I've got to work out with IU who's going to be there when. And I wonder if we could get Coach Tom Allen to do it.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
All right. Well, we know what we're going to be doing. We'll chat soon, my friend.
All right. See you guys.
Absolutely. Dustin, Schutte. or right after this. Boy, this producing crap stinks. They should open up the media days to the public. I think. Let's see. Shadoop dee doop. Burr. Burr 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 burr. Burr 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 burr. Compose. Who all is going to Big Ten Media Days? And I'm trying to make sure we can schedule to have everybody who can go out on that. Tom. Thank you. Should-be do, dooby. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on Monday. It's July 24th. Thanks a lot for everybody joining us. We appreciate you so much. Dustin Dopirak and Dustin Schutte already have been on with us. I enjoy always talking to them, especially Schutte jumping on a little earlier as he normally does. But he'll be back with us on Wednesday and Thursday as we're coming to you from Lucas Oil Stadium, site of the Big Ten men's football media days this year, of course. So we'll be up there with live interviews, Tom Allen, and everyone that comes up from the IU football program. We'll see what else we could get scheduled while we're up there. Gonna talk to the St. Elmo's people, see about getting them out there to do some of that St. Elmo's challenge. That would be fun. So looking forward to that. I was just reading a comment about spinning plates. Yeah, I feel like I'm spinning plates. Stephen also said he sent a few comments about CJ Gunn. CJ was on or met with the media last Thursday. We'll hear from him as well. It's a lot easier when you get to your producer back, but he did meet with the media last week talking. He is I think the third player so far this year that we've been able to speak with. We can hear what.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started.
CJ's first question.
And become comfortable out on the floor.
Of basketball, and what are some things you've been trying to work on this offseason going into year
What
two?
CJ's been working on.
This coming into my second year, I think just being more comfortable out on the floor and just knowing what he wants, and just the standard that we set last year is what I have to bring this year, and learn how to lead the team and now be an older guy and help lead the younger and the new guys, and to bringing them into our culture and into our family, and to hopefully go further in the tournament than we did this year and getting the Big Ten title.
Mason?
So as you can see,
CJ, thanks for the time.
thinking
Kind of on that
the future.
same, on that same wavelength, I guess, with your, I guess, improved role as a leader this year. Is that a challenge, only being a sophomore, knowing that you've only got 1 year under your belt when there's a lot of guys around you this year that are going to be younger than you?
I mean, it's a challenge, but, that's what I'm here for. I didn't come here to be comfortable. I came here to be pushed outside my element and to get used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable, So I see it as a great opportunity for me to take my game to the next level.
Jack?
Hey, CJ, thanks for doing this. I guess how much this summer have you been able to work with Calvert Chaney? And if so, could you kind of explain maybe what those workouts have been like and kind of the things he wants you to focus the most on just for the upcoming season?
Yeah, so before even Coach Chaney got down here, I had some connects with some family members who already knew Coach Chaney just because he's from Indiana. But I gave him a call and I let him out, and we were talking about when he's going to come down here. So we were already excited to already get in the gym before he even got down here. And when he finally got down here, the first practice I watched film with him. The first day we got training sessions in. So me and his bond is already tight. And I feel like he's really room for us, and he's just another piece to the puzzle and making this program great. And the training sessions, they're just I watched Coach Chaney's film also, and like he really lived in the mid range when he was in the league, and that's really one of my specialties, with my ability to leap off the floor and raise above my opponents to let my shot off. So he really is teaching me how to be more effective with one or two dribbles, but either collapsing the defense or getting my shot off.
Alex?
CJ, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. When you look back at your freshman season, what do you feel like you did well, and what do you feel like are the biggest areas for improvement moving forward?
Looking back at my freshman year, I think I did a real good job on the defensive side of things. I feel like my offense wasn't necessarily clicking how I wanted it to, but that's just, as long as you're confident, I feel like, and you put the effort into the gym and the countless days, I feel like that side's just gonna handle itself. But that defensive, that's all effort and energy, and I feel like I've always brought that every time I get on the court, and I will continue to bring that and take my two-way game to the next level as well.
Mike?
Yeah, CJ, in terms of, you said you didn't come here to be comfortable, but how hard is it to have patience, when you're sitting out long stretches last year, not used to that as a guy that was a star in high school? How much of does it have to, you have to work on your mind, that mentality to kind of be patient? How hard is that? Or how hard does that feel?
I mean, it's difficult, no path in life is going to be easy. So just, you're going to have them thoughts about, I can't do this, I'm not going to get there. But, I'm a man of God, and I believe God always has my back. And through that faith, why would I give up now? You just got to keep going, and you're going to get to where you want to get to. Like I said, as long as you in the gym and you're putting that work in, and your love for the game is genuine, then God got me.
Alec?
Hey, CJ, thanks for doing this. You spoke a couple times here about how you got into the offensive rhythm that you wanted to last year. You spoke about how confidence could be a big key for you getting into it this season. Physically speaking, aside from the confidence, what areas of your game offensively have you really tried to improve this season?
Just being more effective, knowing a good shot from a bad shot, and just really cutting off the ball and getting my teammates involved as well. Also, where I'm looking to evolve my game this year further is bringing the ball up the floor and being more of a combo guard, transitioning from the 1 and the 2.
Zion?
Yeah, CJ, hope you're doing well. I guess my question is, how has it been different so far in the few practices and workouts you guys had? Obviously, a team that was built so much around Trace the last few years. How has that changed now going into this summer?
I mean, it's definitely a different field and a different team than last year. Trace has been here. He had his era, and obviously he left, and all the seniors like Miller and Race. But it's just a great feeling coming in with a new squad and knowing that we had the chance to be something great. And so coming in, learning the new guys' game on and off the court, just meshing with each other. I believe that we're going to be something great this year.
Alex?
AJ, when we talked to Calvert a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned that he thought the talent in the locker room was there to be an even better team next season than you were last year. And people kind of look at the players that are gone and kind of wonder how that could happen. But why do you think maybe he believes that? And as a player, when you look in that locker room and kind of what pieces have assembled, why do you think that is a possibility?
I mean, we're deep this year. We have all the pieces to the puzzle that we need. It's just all about, and one thing about us, about our team, which I love, and that we built this culture here, and Coach Wilson has definitely helped build this culture, is we're in the gym consistently, every day getting better. And that's everybody in the locker room, counting the walk-ons, everybody. So just everybody worried about transitioning and being a new team this year. I'm not about that, not one bit. I feel like we're deep this year. We're going to handle business.
Alec?
CJ, you said that you feel like you guys have all the pieces that you need heading into the season. You talked about being an energy guy, improving on the defensive and offensive sides. Aside from those things, what piece do you bring to the Indiana basketball puzzle entering this season?
I feel like just my like you said, my two-way ability and my ability to keep getting my shot without the ball. I'm very good with creating space when it comes to coming off down screens or pin-aways or any cut or any action throughout our motion offense is what I really specialize in.
Jack?
CJ, I guess what's been your impression of Mackenzie Mbako coming in? I guess maybe going up against him in practice or playing with him. Just kind of what do you think he brings to the team?
Man, I think he brings his grit and this sort of aggressiveness to our game that challenges us every day to get better. We go against each other every day in practice. So just having that competition in practice is not iron sharp as iron. So I'm gonna get better and he's gonna get better. And so when we're out there and we're actually in the game, we're gonna be just fine. But he's a tough shot maker and he's a great player and he's a great player to play with. But we all still have a lot to learn about each other and get more comfortable playing with each other for sure.
Last question for Seth.
Yeah, CJ, you mentioned when you were talking about all the guys you lost from last year, you mentioned Jalen. And just kind of when you look at the backcourt specifically, I mean, you got Trey and X back there kind of leading the way. But how would you kind of assess the group that you guys have there at guard this year? And how much of an opportunity do you feel like you have there this year to contribute?
I feel like Fino left our backcourt, and he's doing his own thing in the league, and that's my brother, and I wish him nothing but the best. But I don't feel like we lost anything when it comes to guards in the positions. I feel like you said, our backcourt with KBX, Gallo, me, Gabe. I feel like we're all willing to fill those shoes in, and if not surpass them shoes, in order to be better than the team we were last year.
There was CJ Gunn meeting with the media and answering a lot of questions. Incoming, he's going to be returning for his sophomore year, and a lot can be expected of him And Larry asking about Trent Sisley. We're going to see. Yeah, got to get him scheduled on this week as well. One of Indiana's targets. So we'll. Thanks for reminding that. We'll reach out and see what day is the best to get that taken care of as well. But always good to hear from guys like that, because that's how we get the best indication. Until we see what's going on, we have to listen to a lot and weed through it. And but guys like CJ Gunn, who they've been here for a year, they know what it's going to take. They know what it's going to take to get into the lineup. And of course, that's why they are here. They're here to play. So we hear there's a lot of talk of all these incoming guys, great recruiting class that Indiana brought in. But these guys are, while they're teammates, they're like, hey, that's my spot, man. Those are my minutes. That's no different than earlier when we were talking about Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. You know, those guys are thinking, hey, man, that's my spot. And I want that spot. And the difference between those two is one guy's getting pushed up into the wall. But that's the same kind of thing that goes on the court, man. It's people are grabbing and pushing and whatever it takes. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch to see who comes out on top of these guys, the newer talent or the guys that have been here. It's just going to be an interesting challenge for all of them. But we've got more coming up here on Sports Beat Radio, and we'll be back with it right after this break. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, July 24th. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you. Just with Dustin Schutte earlier and Dustin Dopirak as well. Heard from CJ Gunn, incoming sophomore from Indianapolis, playing for the Indiana Hoosiers basketball program. And speaking of the Indiana basketball program, Indiana's, the non-conference schedule, what you call the bye games, where you basically pay people to come in to play, will cost a total of $720,000. This is out of the Indianapolis Star by Michael Zeel. How do you say it? Zielik? I have to get his pronunciation down. But $720,000 is what they're going to be paying out. That includes 9 games. 2 of those are exhibitions at Simon Scott Assembly Hall that get a guaranteed payment within 60 days of the game. The most expensive non-conference games this season are against Florida Gulf Coast. That's $105,000 they get paid. Wright State gets paid $100,000. Then exhibition games against UIndy is $15,000, and Marion pulls in $30,000, which are much cheaper. Harvard, Morehead State, North Alabama, Kennesaw State, they all get paid $95,000. And Army gets $90,000 for visiting to come in. So a little payday for them, pays their expenses, makes them a little bit of money. But that's what you do, and everything. You reap all the benefits with the home games, the concessions, all of that business, just like you do in football. It's very similar in structure. Indiana also provides each visiting team with 100 to 125 complimentary tickets. And Big Ten officials. So it's always that. Indiana, of course, also participating in the Empire Classic with a neutral site up in New York at MSG. And then they'll take on Auburn in Atlanta. Kansas, a part of this home series, the nation's number 1 ranked team coming into the season. The Empire Classic, of course, 4-team event at the Madison Square Garden. That's on November 19th and 20th. And a pretty nice field. Indiana, of course, UConn, Texas, and Louisville. The Hoosiers signed a contract to participate in that event with the Gazelle Group, New Jersey-based company responsible for organizing that. And these are the things that Indiana had gotten away from, that the fans definitely are enjoying seeing these again. They're just look at what happened last year at Kansas and Arizona, or against Arizona in Las Vegas. At Kansas, there was a little fortune there with I think students might have been out of town, but it was, from everything that I'd heard, everyone that I spoke with there said that they had never seen that many opposing fans at a home Kansas game. And then again, Arizona and Las Vegas, and Arizona is only a couple of hours away from Las Vegas. It was 80-20, easily. Indiana fans over Arizona in Las Vegas. Indiana travels, people, but they also like not having to travel as well. And Kansas comes to Simon Scott Assembly Hall this season, so those of you that have home tickets are going to be in for a much better schedule than it has been in the past. So there's that. Let's see. The December 9th game against Auburn is part of the 2023 Holiday Hoops Giving. Indiana gets $125,000 for participating in that. So they get paid. So they're getting paid to go do that, which is cool. Now, who's going to replace the Kansas series after this? Is the last year. It was a home and home, and I'm very curious. I thought that it would be Kentucky replacing that game, but John Calipari, I don't know that they'll even be able to schedule this game as long as John Calipari is still there. And even when they schedule it, it's usually going to be a couple years out. So that means there's probably going to be a gap potentially between Indiana and Kentucky playing again. The fact that they're allowing that jackass to control that, I'm a little surprised by Mitch Barnhart because he has done a hell of a job as AD. He's really grown that role, and does a really good job for Kentucky as AD. Kind of surprised he hasn't finally said, look, this needs to happen. It's not about you. It's not about you or your embarrassment, getting your ass beat with the number one team in the country. I don't want to hear your excuses. This is a game that needs to be played. Should never have stopped being played. And it's going to get played. But who's going to take who's going to remove? If I can get Scott Dolson on during the football media days, I will ask that question because that's usually a question that gets asked during the event at Huber's, and this year it did not. It snuck through without being asked. But I was actually going to ask that, and I was given a different question to ask by someone, which never happened. So I obliged and did that. But just looking at that non-con schedule, Army, it was kind of cool. You got Bob Knight's former team coming in. Not only that, the former team by Bob Knight, but an assistant coach by the last name of Hulls that came with him to Bloomington from Army, name that you may know very well. Harvard, that's going to be at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. So they play 3 straight games. Well, not 3, it'll actually be 4. The 19th and the 20th in the Empire Classic, that's at Madison Square Garden. They'll play either Texas, UConn, or Louisville in 2 games there. Then, right after that, it's Harvard, but that's at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Then another break, 2 weeks off, and then they travel down to Atlanta to play Auburn. So usually you have a stretch of home games that are a mile long in the preseason. There's going to be a stretch between November 19th, almost a month, that Indiana will not have a home game. Now, they only have 4 games in this period between November 19th and December 16th when they host Kansas. But none of them are in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Very, kind of unusual. But that's okay. That'll get them better prepared for the season. And more importantly, it gets you're out in front of people in different places again. You're going to be in New York at Madison Square Garden for a couple of games. You're going to have people seeing you there that don't normally see you, don't normally see the brand. Gamebridge Fieldhouse, of course, in Indianapolis, that's going to be a normal. But then they're going to take on Auburn down in Atlanta. Huge. Again, that's huge for recruiting. 2 of these are just gigantic recruiting opportunities for Indiana. Atlanta has turned into another little hotspot for the Hoosiers. A great area for athletes, basketball players, and Indiana has not shied away from hitting that area. And I'm not at all surprised that this game was scheduled. And Probably it was with purpose. Atlanta also site of Indiana's last Final Four appearance in 2002 at the old Georgia Dome. I was there for that. So, a little interesting season coming up. We've got lots of football to talk about as well coming up this week, as we will be in Indianapolis' Lucas Oil Stadium on Wednesday and Thursday for the Big Ten Football Media Days. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be thinking about St. Elmo's all the time until then. That's a lot of people. A lot of shrimp. It's a lot of shrimp to go through. And I think they should open up the Big Ten Media Days to the public and let them come in down to a certain level and just watch. And there are certain things they can't hear, but certain things they can. Just an idea, just a thought. It's on. I mean, it's on TV anyway. But I guess the Big Ten, it wouldn't affect them much. Just be local people. I was gonna say, I guess the Big Ten Network might not like that, but they're gonna watch it anyway. You get to rewatch everything. There's too much going on not to rewatch things, and they could not cover everything at once. You've got the coach break, the coach on the daises, the people when they are on the dais, but then once you get under the breakout sessions, man, you've got 8 people talking at once. Press conferences going on all at the same time. Maybe it's 10 for football because there's enough room to do that. Which again, I'm so glad that we get to do this now the way that we're doing it. This is because of COVID, but prior to COVID, we were doing this in a hotel in Chicago every year, and I'm so glad that's not the case. This is such a better way to do it. And I hope that it never changes. I'm sure that the Big Ten in their wisdom will move it, but thank gosh Kevin Warren's not here anymore, so we won't have to do it in Minneapolis maybe. We'll see. We'll certainly see. But looking forward to being up in Indy on Wednesday and Thursday for the Big Ten Football Media Days, as it's here, baby. It is certainly here. We'll get some chatter in with as many coaches and players as we can from all around the league, no matter who your team is, whether it's the Hoosiers, the Oilers, or any of the other participants. It's the only fun thing is usually hearing from Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day. And they're never on the same day. They keep them separated because they want their marquee guys, separated. And you've got to have time because there's going to be questions that come up that are to Ohio State that are about Michigan and Ohio State. It just depends on who's first, so you can get the response from the reaction from the other side on that as well. That's about the only thing you got going. That daggone it, Penn State coach James Franklin is always good, and then you're going to have a lot going on with Northwestern. What's happening in Northwestern? I'm sure they're going to get just besieged by questions because it's not just football that they're having an issue with now. They're having an issue kind of school-wide. So we'll have to looking forward to all that and all the goings on and see whatever else we can scare up and maybe just how to try to have some fun. That's what the St. Elmo's will have to be about, just trying to have some fun. But I did that when I was up there for the NFL Combine this year earlier, and woo, I'm the only one that did it on air, and holy cow, it was hard to talk. I'm not going to lie to you, but I did it. I did it. So happy about that. Happy about having you guys along with us today as well. Cannot thank you all enough. Always looking forward to it. We'll be back on Taco Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Do it all again. Mike Corsi, Trotty Coosier. We'll see what else we can scare up. I believe John, the producer, will not be back. We'll have RC, I believe, sitting in tomorrow. So thank goodness we'll have that. But I can't thank you guys enough, and thank the two Dustins, Dopirak and Schutte as well. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Until then, I will see you on the radio.